Levi. Erase that blob.
Oh, you caught me. I'm in the hallways of Harvard and working on a very complex math problem. Oh, I must be very smart.
You need therapy from Robin Williams.
Yeah, but I'm gonna reject him at first and be mean to him about his passed away wife.
Those are your defenses from your rough childhood.
Right, but it's not my fault.
It's not your fault. Hey, it's not your fault.
Stop it.
Don't you know
Stop it.
that it's not your fault?
Stop. Oh!
Do you get it now?
Yes, all my problems are fixed.
That's all that it takes.
Then you make a movie about it. That was actually their relationship in real life at the time.
No way.
Oh no.
You know, I didn't realize that it was about a guy named Will Hunting. I thought it was like, hey, you're gonna go hunting? Here's Goodwill. I didn't know. I just didn't know.
You just didn't know. It's not your fault.
There is no way for me to know. Don't you see that?
I see that. I also see that every time you exhale, the breath goes out the eyeball holes of that mask and fogs up your glasses.
Well,
I really hope they can see it, but unlikely.
That's how lions work.
Oh, they breathe out of their eye holes?
Yeah, did you not know that?
I didn't know that, but it's not my fault.
What do you think about the two of us doing a sick dance break?
I feel pretty good. 1, 2, 3, go!
You've got to do better than that, Mr. Levi. Are you okay?
I'm okay, but my marker's not.
You're ruining the dance break. 7:30 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Children, welcome. It's Wednesday. Nerdish is back on. We're live. We're up and running. We're cooking with gas. We've got the jitters in our critters. That's not a phrase. But you know what is a phrase?
Always leave
The
toilet seat
down if you live with women. That is a phrase.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a moral imperative.
It's an if-then statement. It's a conditional.
If you live with women, if you live with women, then you should keep the seat down. If you shouldn't keep the seat down, then you must not live with women.
All right.
Alrighty, mateys.
I don't really know.
All right, you didn't know that. How's my p-tail looking? We getting there? Most of the hair's been pulled up. It's new for me. Brady back. I'm bringing Brady back. Yeah. How's it going, Robe? Roby? Robex? Robe export. You're exporting robes. Go ahead, girl. Go heavy. Go to the club. Go heavy. Go with VIP. Go heavy. Go. I'll meet you at the club. Go heavy. We'll dance at the club. Go heavy. Go. Burn a lot of calories. Hey, Chemist 1902. A good year for chemistry. A good year for chemistry. You know what they figured out that year? I don't know about in particular, but there's a lot of good stuff going on.
Didn't they discover years?
In 1902?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know what years were, and then they realized, 1902 is a year. That's what
Yeah.
it is, right.
That
How
makes
did the
sense.
kids do on the test?
We know not. my
Which
lord.
test are we talking about? Should we know what that means? Who are the kids? How did the kids do on the test?
Okay, so we're not gonna put up number 35, but we can do it, or do something similar.
Is it one of those that we can't pull up?
I don't know. I don't know where this is from. It's from Crack ACT, so
Okay.
we can't pull that up.
Well, it might be one of the ACTs that we just don't know. So we
I
can
don't
draw it
really
on the board.
know. Yeah.
Last time there was a prep for a test next day, and everyone was freaking out about it. Yeah, what was the last test? 2 weeks ago?
For which one?
I don't know.
Yeah, everybody freaks out. Freak out!
Everybody's freaking out for the test. It's a celebration for the test. So get your good guys and your bad guys too. We're going to take the test. We don't know. No. Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah. Well, there's a week there. Yom Kippur was on Monday.
Wasn't it on Wednesday?
I'm sorry, Rosh Hashanah was on a Monday, and then Yom Kippur was on Wednesday the following week.
Okay, so
Anyway,
we have this triangle. DE is 12, DF is 24. Measure of angle D is 60 degrees. So we put all that in, and DF is the longest side. So let's just label that longest side. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which of the following statements is true about the measures of the angles in
So we have to write all
triangle
these answers.
ABC?
Well, the question is, what is the relationship between the angles? Do we know
Yes.
if there are certain angles that are larger than others?
Yes.
What is the order of their sizes?
So,
So, the X degrees?
well, yeah, we don't know what that is.
Well, degrees?
I'm sorry, my lord.
It's okay, my lord.
Okay, so they tell us that the longest side is DF, right? So if this is the longest side of a triangle is always opposite the largest angle. So angle E is the largest angle.
It's
so
got to be
we
larger
would
than
say
60.
Measure of angle E is going to be greater than everything else. Now we're going to have, so we have measure of angle E. We have 3 angles, so we're going to have one here, and then that's got to be bigger than the last one. They cannot possibly be equal because the side lengths aren't equal. If you have 3 equal angles in a triangle, then that means you have an equilateral triangle. That's not the case because we have 24 and 12 here. Now, Brady, how can we figure out which one is bigger between D and F?
Good question. I got a question for you, Levi.
Yes, Bird.
Equilateral triangle.
Oh, yeah.
What would all the angles be?
60 degrees
60, 60, and 60?
Fahrenheit.
Get out of here.
Okay.
All right, and you're telling me that this is the largest angle.
Yes.
So we know it has to be greater than 60.
Yes.
All right, so let's call it 61. What would this have to be if that was 61?
That would have to be 59.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. So if it's greater than 60, the other one needs to be less than 60. By however much this one is greater than 60, this one needs to be less than 60 to make sure everything balances out and gets to 180.
Cool. I like that. Also, we could say that these all 3 have to add up to 180. So, and we know that angle E is bigger than angle D because even though this is 60, we know this is the longest side, so E is the biggest. So this has to be greater than 60. If you have something 60 plus something greater than 60, the last one will be slightly smaller than 60, as we just discussed with Brady. So there's those 2 ways. Also, there's another way we can use the law of sines, which is sine of angle A. You can do this any way you want. Over A equals sine of angle B over B equals sine of angle C over C. So now it would be D, E, and F, but you get the picture. So if you plug in here, if we wanted to see if we know that 60 degrees, can we even use this? Oh, we can solve for x basically using this, right? Because we know that that's 60. We know that's bigger. It's going to end up being, we can't solve for x, my bad. We can, but I don't want to. It's too complicated for this question. So we have measure of angle E. Has to be bigger. I mean, it's bigger than both of these, but we've decided that this has to be a little bigger than 60. This has to be a little smaller than 60. So we have measure of angle D here, and then we have measure of angle F as the smallest one. So in general, the way to approach any triangle question, if it's not drawn for you, you draw it. Also, longest side is always opposite largest angle. Also, smallest side is opposite smallest angle. If you have the biggest angle, then you know that's the longest side too, so you can go in either direction there. And when you're doing triangle questions, aside from drawing them, just throw everything you know about triangles at this. There is a way to solve for x using law of cosines. I'm not going to do that here. It's a little too much. And then we know that angles add up to 180 in a triangle, so you're going to try using that. It may not be the way to do it. It ends up being that way. But you know you're being asked about angles, so what do I know about the angles of a triangle? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is probably that they add up to 180. Okay, let's do more questions. If anybody has any, put them in our Discord or just ask them in chat. Doesn't matter to me. Bum, 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 bum. Seems like there. Ooh, what is this? No, that's from last week. Okay. So I'm going to keep going through looking for questions. Also, the reason why, so we got a question off of Reddit. I'm probably going to have to say this many times. We got a question off of Reddit, but a lot of things on Reddit are copyrighted, and we don't want to mess with that. So we've pulled the concept from that question and then gave you our own question. All right, let's see what else I can do from the, well, I'll go to the SAT subreddit. Why not? People like the SAT. Please ask your questions in the chat. Oh. Yeah, let's see. That's not particularly useful. That's not an SAT question at all. People are putting non-test questions on these subreddits, which is strange. Oh, what's this? Oh, this is tough. All right. This is tough because I don't know if I can draw what's in this question quickly enough to make it worthwhile. Does anybody have any more questions about anything? I'm going to erase this. Brady's upstairs right now, and I'm afraid because I'm alone. Please ask your questions. Don't just watch. We have... Okay, can I do this question?
I have made the royal popcorn.
Have you?
Yes, my lord.
That's what you were doing.
Yes, my lord.
That's great.
Do you
Well,
like
I'm
pop-
here trying to figure out how to put this question up without putting it up, and or do something similar. And it's
Yeah, this is not a good thing that we can't do this.
right.
This is
Very
not
bad.
good.
How was your week? Oh,
Can you
Yes.
post? Can you post that in the Discord?
yeah. We can't deal with that from just chat. Sorry, Roby.
Yeah.
Week. How was the week? I had a pretty bad day yesterday and today. You had a pretty bad day
A pretty bad day yesterday.
yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good question. Overall, good.
That's good. How was yours, Roby Expert?
Yeah. And don't lie, because we'll know.
We need to be able to put this up.
We can't.
We don't know if we can. We can't. You're right. Who posted this?
It's on the SAT subreddit. Are geometry questions SAT or ACT questions? If yes,
They are on both the SAT and the ACT. Translations, you're going to see more in terms of functions, translating functions left, right, up, and down. Reflections as well with functions.
Yeah. Reflections aren't super common. Translations are much more common. Where do you want to start?
We can just do general function translations. Function transformations, rather. We have some function, y equals f of x. Rotations. I'm currently studying for the SAT. Can you recommend good resources for studying the reading and writing portion? Levi,
Yes.
we got Pongometer. Pongopeter. Triangle proofs. Oh, all sorts of stuff here. Rigid motion and congruence. Triangle proofs. Oh, man. Things that are on the ACT versus things that are not on the SAT. Pongometer. Good resources for studying the reading and writing portion. For the SAT, Khan Academy is a good resource. How's it? Is it burnt?
No.
Yeah, it's good.
We're sponsored by Popcorn tonight.
So, chemists, proofs do not show up. You need to know the geometry behind quadrilaterals and triangles, but you don't need to know proofs. Is that right?
Yes.
Are you taking geometry? Is that this one?
Here in the moment? No. Well, actually,
It's on-
possibly.
it's on-
ACT, right?
Oh, yep. Good English and reading resources for SAT.
Oh, Pongo?
Yeah.
Pongo. We're a good resource, not for, well, we're good for learning some of the stuff. Khan Academy's good. And we've heard a lot of people say Erica Meltzer. Never looked at her stuff.
Erica Meltzer.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked at her stuff. Like, my whole life has gone by and I've never looked at her stuff.
Here in the moment, yes, we did do your question. So here's the deal. We cannot put up questions anymore. You want to just talk about this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So we got hit with a copyright infringement thing on Twitch because the SAT is cracking down on copyright infringement, which is their right. Now, that's why we didn't stream last night because we got suspended. We're back.
Hey.
It's fine. There's a 3-strike policy. We're gonna try not to strike out, obviously.
You hit on what that means, though, is that the questions that you post need to be questions from the online SATs that the SAT company has published, College Board has published. There's 10 of them. They have names like SAT 1, SAT 2, all the way to SAT 10. If the questions are from those SATs, then you are good to go. If they're like, illegally distributed SATs, and you pull up the question, and ACT as well, although we haven't really heard much from ACT. SAT is the one that we've heard about.
Mm-hmm.
We can only pull up questions on the board that are from fair use. It's fair use. Not exactly sure. It depends on the SAT, I assume, because it's copyrighted information. Now we're getting triggered by numbers. What does that mean? Well,
The tests are trademarked.
tests are
No, copyrighted.
Yeah. Yeah, they own the rights to the tests. So, the ones that they published are fair game. You can ask us questions from those. There's 10 SATs online that you can ask us questions from which you can ask us questions. On the ACT. You can ask us questions from the ACT. I don't think we should be worried about that.
I think we should be.
Should we?
It'll count as another strike as soon as they find us. The SAT is more active about it,
Right.
but I don't want another strike.
So there's what, 5 ACTs online?
Yeah.
Ugh. An SAT-like question, of course. Of course, Roboard. Roby. What do we do?
We're going to try it. See if this is gonna be slower. That's all.
Oh. Well, we had some questions here about geometry. We want to do quadrilaterals, triangles, reflections. Go up a little bit.
Also, Pongo, if you're still here, can you say hi?
Keep going, keep going. Rotations.
Pongopeter.
Okay. All right. So you got some function, and I'm going to have the example function be, hold on a sec. Example function is going to be f of x is equal to 4x squared. Okay? First thing we can do. Uh-oh. Yeah, what does Monkus mean? First thing we can do is translations. And translations are horizontal and vertical shifts. So the function looks exactly the same. It's just been picked up and put down somewhere else, either left and right from where it was before or up and down, or some combination of both. Maybe it was shifted right and up, and that's where the new function is. Horizontal and vertical translations. Levi, now my fingers are all greasy from the popcorn.
Oh.
Why did you make it? Okay, such as, because it's scary to live in a world where the big man puts the fist in your mouth for ideas. That's fun. First thing you can do is just simply add a number at the end. And this would be a vertical translation. And it would do exactly what you think it's going to do. If you add 5, it's going to move everything upward by 5. So f of x plus k could be something like this. F of x plus 5. And that would be, if we actually put in what our example f of x is, 4x squared plus 5. And 4x squared plus 5, let's get a graph going. Love graphs. So 4x squared. You know what? I'm just going to use x squared, the parent graph. I should have done this a long time ago, Levi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am changing the function. It's just x squared. So plus 5 would just be a vertical translation. Every point you have on it right now will be shifted up by 5 units. So we have this vertex here at 0, 0. It's now going to be up here at 0, 5. Every point is going to be taken upward by 5 units. Like that. All right? That's a vertical translation. If you subtract, instead, it's going to be going downwards. So it's what you think it's going to do. Positive means up, negative means down. And then you have everyone's favorite horizontal translations, which do the opposite of what you think they're going to do. So this here is a horizontal translation. If you are subtracting, you are moving to the right. Let me say it again. If you are subtracting a number, you're moving in the positive direction. So f of x minus 2, for example, which would mean moving 2 into the positive direction. We want to rewrite the function first. This is very crucial. Rewrite the function. Wherever your x is, put parentheses around just x. Inside those parentheses is where you're going to be putting minus 2. So when I rewrite this thing, the squared stays out of it. Like this, okay? Just to avoid this whole, oh, well, we subtract h, so it's going to be minus 2 right there. No, that's a vertical translation. You want a horizontal one, it's got to be inside with the x. It's pals with the x. Everyone's having a good time with x. I know I am. And you could just carve that into stone. So what's that going to do to this? It's going to move it 2 to the right. Which is going to look, so our vertex is normally at 0, 0. Now our vertex is going to be here. We have gone 2 to the right. 2 to the right, 2 to the right. Our new parabola is right here.
This is kind of a tricky thing to see because there's all the same colors. That's vertical and horizontal translation. All right, those are the easiest function transformations that you can do when you're first getting into the biz. All right, next thing are not reflections. Next thing are reflections. So first thing you can do is do a vertical reflection by just making whatever your function is negative of itself. So I'm going to draw a new one. Well, in our example, we're putting a negative in front of f of x, which is x squared. So this is going to become negative x squared. So what used to be an upward facing parabola will now be facing downward, which means it's been reflected across the x-axis. Okay? The x-axis is a mirror. It's kind of tricky because a vertical, when you think vertical, you think y-axis. That's the vertical axis. Yes, it is. But if it's a vertical reflection, that means we're flipping it over itself onto the other side of the x-axis. So if you're down, you're up. If you're up, you're down. Okay? Doesn't mean it's always going to move it down. It's just going to flip it wherever it is. If you have a negative parabola, and then you take the negative of that, it's going to flip it upwards, just like that. So that is a vertical reflection. And then we have horizontal reflections, which, as you might imagine, happen inside the function. F of negative x. F of negative x, okay? If you want to find out what that's going to do to the formula, you do what you did in this other situation. You rewrite the formula, which is x squared. You zoom in on x. You put the negative in there and see what's going to happen. So this is negative x inside parentheses, quantity squared. If you square that, the negatives are going to cancel out, giving you plain old x squared. So if horizontal reflection somehow gives you the same thing, how does that make sense? Well, I'm glad that you asked. Am I? Well, hasn't been a great day, so it's a combination of me authentically being glad that you asked and also being a little, Levi, what's the word? Right. Facetious? Facetious. Look at this thing. Y equals x squared. You flip it horizontally, it's going to go straight to where its other branch is. So they're going to switch sides, but your final parabola is going to look exactly like it did before because it's reflected over the y-axis, but it's already a reflection of itself. So it doesn't matter. It's not going to do anything. Other functions will. So like maybe I had this instead. This will be a good example. So let's say that we had y is equal to x minus 2 squared. So normally this is a upward facing parabola that's been shifted to the right by 2 units. 1, 2, bam. All right, 1 and then a 4 right there. That's what it normally is. Now if you want to take f of negative x, you need to rewrite this. Where x is, put parentheses. So now we have parentheses inside our other parentheses. Squared, okay? Now we can resolve this. So this is going to be negative x minus 2. So now we can just get rid of the parentheses because they're not actually going to do anything. Negative x minus 2 squared. And if you square this thing, the negative x is going to cancel out becoming positive x. So let's see what happens. This is going to become positive x squared. Negative x times negative 2 is positive 2x. So this is going to be plus 2x plus another 2x and then plus 4. So x squared plus 4x plus 4. And when you graph this thing, it's got a y-intercept of 4. But instead, it actually is over here. It has been flipped across the y-axis. If I were to ask my geometry questions, where do I post them? In SAT hashtag math or ACT hashtag math? You post them in questions for stream. Chemist. That's one of our channels. You'll see it on the left. So by putting negative x in where x normally was, this ended up flipping it across the y-axis. That's a horizontal reflection. It's over the y-axis, but it is a horizontal reflection. You got this, now you got that. Think about that. Think about that. All right, let's go to our Discord here. Ah, here we go. All right. I'm putting this up, Levi.
Okay. Wait, why?
It's not an SAT or ACT question.
What is it? Just random.
It's from something. Okay. So, if you flip over, okay, this asks which transformation represents a reflection over the y-axis. Over the y-axis means you're flipping over that. So this is a left and right flip. It is a horizontal flip. So think about, is it x that's changing signs or is it y that's changing signs? Well, if you're starting over here to the right of the y-axis and then you end up over here to the left of the y-axis, then your x has changed signs. So whatever your x was before, it's not going to be the negative version of that, which is going to be this first option A. Your y is not changed. X to negative x, that is correct. X to negative x, exactly. This is a good question, chemist. I'm glad you asked it. I was worried that nobody was going to ask this question, but you ended up asking it. Yes. Chemist, do you have some more geometry questions you can post in the Discord? Because that would be extremely helpful. Where are these from, by the way? They look like they're from some kind of online type situation, website. Or maybe it's your homework that your math teacher has online. And we're just doing your homework for you. Who knows? I don't knows. Get rid of this. I'll never tell. My homework, yeah, lol. Uh-oh. All right, well, these are appropriate questions for ACT, SAT stuff, so continue asking them. Although we're going to try to make you think. We're not just going to answer your homework for you. Because that's not the best way for us to do this. We're not just a free homework service. Isn't that right, Levi?
Mm-hmm. I've never been a free homework service.
No, you have not. Very much no. Very much no. Mmm. Levi,
Yes, very good.
I haven't said anything in a little bit.
Okay. That's good.
What should I say?
I don't know. You can talk to me. I'm putting up links to practice tests in our panels.
Oh, okay.
It's my favorite thing to do.
Yes, that makes sense completely. Okay.
67C.
No, not that. Oh, jeez. Felt almost naked. The ACT is cracking down your stream because it's in their interest that the kids fail the test and pay for it again.
Not a bad point.
Your logic does make sense. It does.
But also, it is theirs.
Yeah, it is their property. And we know students that have had their scores canceled because they were caught posting things that they should not have onto Reddit and things like that. NA education, private companies in education. What's NA education? Levi, do you know what they mean?
No, do you?
No, do you?
No, do you not?
Oh, this ought to be fun. Let's see if you're right. Okay. So, let's see. A triangle has vertices at those vertices. Which series of transformations would produce an image with vertices of there? Oh, interesting. And the options are, all of these are two different transformations. The first one is a vertical flip, and then the second one, okay, no, sorry. For the first option, that's a vertical flip, and then it looks like they add 1 to both the x and the y values. Let's see if that would work. So we have 3 different points here. Okay, and the fact that they give you the labels of b and b prime is super helpful, because they just gave you 3 points and then another 3 points, and we wouldn't know which point mapped to which point. This would be frustrating. It'd be doable, but it'd be frustrating. But they give you, so b and then b prime, which means that's where b was sent after you applied the transformation. You got a and a prime, which is where a was sent after you applied the transformation. That's super helpful. I'm glad they did that. I'm authentically happy because of that. All right. Let's see. Let's just pick 1 point and see if we can go all the way with that 1 point. So we have b is negative 3, 0. That's b. And then b prime is 4, 1. Okay, so according to your answer, the first thing they did is they flipped the y value, which would mean this would turn into negative 3, 0, because the y value is just 0, so that's not going to change anything. And then they added 1 to each of the coordinates. So this is going to turn into negative 2, and this is going to turn into 1, which unfortunately is not what we have for b prime. So we're going to have to do something else here. Hello, Jerklump. Hello, Meeman. Scores are coming soon. Everyone's excited. Everyone's excited. So, chemist. B does not map to b prime. It does not look like. Looks like you maybe flipped the x coordinate and made that negative of itself, but it was the y coordinate they want you to flip. So what do you think it's going to be now? You got some ideas? Who's got ideas? Who has ideas? Chemist, I'm torn between just doing this or, like, the way that we work with students privately is we don't just do the homework, we make them think through it. So you're going to have to think through this. Jerklump, what's new? You got any questions, Meeman? All right. So it looks like you're going to option B. Second option. So you'd switch them, but in this case, you'd switch the x values. So this would become positive 3, 0. And then you'd add 1 to both of them, which gives you 4, 1. Now, it looks like that is a winner. That worked for B. Let's just make sure the other ones don't work as well, because there's a couple different transformations you can apply that might get you to where you want to go for a single point. But they're not going to get all of the points to the places where all those points are going to go. So, real quick, number 3 switches the y, which is right where we were before. We have negative 3, 0. If we switch the y is just 0, so that doesn't do anything. And then we add 2 to both of them, which becomes negative 1, 2, not what b prime is. Oh, cool. Thanks for letting us know. And then with the last one, they flip the values of x. So that becomes positive 3, 0 like before, and then they add 2 to everything, which becomes 5, 2, which is also not right. So it is option 2. You're right, chemist. Well done. Well done. Well done. Levi, you should come up here.
Yes.
So we have some more people that posted stuff.
Okay. Oh, I stood up too fast, Braid.
That always happens down here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is one that you could probably...
I don't want to put it up. I just want to
That was going to
write
say
it.
probably
Yeah.
right, yeah. Levi is still reviewing essays, yes.
Yeah. Generally. Okay, so we have this function, and let's say it's negative x cubed plus 4x minus, or 4x squared minus 2x plus 2. Oh, there's a max value. So the max is, oh, okay. The max value, we don't know, of f of x. So that's the y value, right? That's important. On the interval, so what this means is -2? Yeah, -2 to 4. Okay. What's dx? Did I miswrite something? Anyway, here's our function. We know that on this interval we want to find the max value. So how can we do that? What are we? Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, now I understand what you're saying. Yes, we could do the derivative. My guess is okay, I'm going to try something first because you do not need to know calculus for the SAT and ACT. So I'm going to see if we can do this question without using calculus. And the answer is probably not. Bird, is there a way to find the max value of of something with x cubed without using
Calculus.
calc? Like there's negative b over 2a for
Quadratics.
but I actually don't think there's any other way to do this.
All right, this is a negative cubic.
Yeah, you can find zeros, but it doesn't help you find the actual max or minimum value unless you get lucky and the 0 is a max or min value.
Yeah, this is calculus. I mean, this almost looks like it's a Math 2 question. If you have a calculator with a grapher, then you can put this in the graph and then ask the calculator for what the maximum is.
You could also, so let's say the answers are, so this is, oh, you know what? So we don't want the actual
use
max.
the answers. Yeah.
When x equals, and then we could say when x equals 5, which wouldn't make any sense because that's not in the interval. So when x equals 0, when x equals negative 1.5, when x equals 0.08, and when x equals 2.7. Let's say those are your answer choices, right? So the way to deal with this is, okay, we're trying to find the max value of x, but we're trying to find the x value max of f of x. So let's say this is a trinomial. Let's say this looks, I don't know what this looks like. I'm not going to try that hard to figure it out. Let's say it looks like that. Wow, that's not what I meant. Should go up like that. Let's say this is what our function looks like. And we're only looking at the interval of -2, which is here, let's say, -2 to 4. So that's the interval we're looking at. So we're trying to, now we don't know what it looks like, but we're looking for the maximum value, which I guess would be here. Now I'm really, abstracting from this problem a lot because I don't have a calculator up here with me, which is entirely Brady's fault. We're looking for this max value. So once we find that, or if we wanted to find that, we would also want to find the x value there. So we can just say, okay, is that x value one of those things? Basically, you're going to plug in all of these values for x into this equation. Whichever one gives you the greatest value will be the answer to this question. Does that make sense? Because they're asking you for the x value that gives you the maximum of the function. So just plug in all the options and it will give you, and whichever one gives you the biggest number. Now, if an answer choice is, let's say, x equals 8, and maybe x equals 8, that does give you the greatest value of y, but this is wrong anyway because it's not on that interval that we want. So I know I didn't actually do this question, but that's how you would approach it. You plug in the values, see what you get for y, or f of x, same thing, and whichever one is in that interval with that highest value will be the answer to this question. Okay.
Okay, was this a meme question? Let us see, let us see. It was. Okay, can I answer this question? Ooh. Hey, so Jerklump, your question on our Discord. Are we, is that from one of the officially released ACT tests or not? Because we are no longer able to do questions from non-officially released sources because we got in trouble. It's from the booklet. What booklet? So in the panels below Twitch, there's a list. So this is, hey Bird.
Yeah.
So this is from 74F.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
Oh wait, what?
Can you look at the Discord?
Okay.
So Jerklump, what is the code for this test? Because we can't do. We got in trouble, and it is sort of valid, and so I have no clue how to check the code. Okay, it should say it at the top.
It doesn't.
If it doesn't, then that's fine.
It's out of a book.
Oh, it's out of a book. Yeah, we can't do non-officially released things. We can only do stuff that's free to the general public, which, if you want, you can check in our panels now. We have a list of all the tests that the SAT and ACT have released officially, and you can do those. Or you can give us questions from those, and we can look at any of those. We do apologize. It's what it has to be if we want to keep streaming. I'm going to trademark f of x equals x. That's a great idea. Levi, tell us something in French. Okay.
Good point.
Je suis allé à Paris il y a 5, 4, non, 5? Il y a 5 années, 5 ans, 5 années, pour 3 mois pour étudier le français et quelques autres choses à Paris. Yeah, there you go. There's something. It is very fancy. It's very Frenchy. All French people are French.
Huh.
Something they don't tell you in school because it's useless. That is a tautological statement.
That's true.
Okay. And French people sound like ducks, or do ducks sound like French people? Math from 74F. Yeah, you want to do some math from 74F? That's fine. What do you want to do? I'll pull up a test, or I will pull up that test. Has anybody seen the mouse? There it is. I found it. Okay. 74F, you say? This looks like it. Is this it? Yes. Okay, so math, you say. Where do you want to go? What number? SAT scores on Friday. That's right. Oh, you sent them in the Discord. Great. All right. Klump. Ooh, a period question. That's very fun. Okay, so this is from 74F, which is legal. Okay, here's this question. I don't know what that means, Roby. Sorry, I can't see it. You're scared. Fear not, Rob. I mean, here in the moment. Okay, here's this function, cosecant of 4x. All right, so cosecant is just the reciprocal of sine.
So it's going to have the same period as sine. Do you know what the period of a sine function is, or any trig function, or any function for that matter at all? Not all of them have a period, but what is the period of sine? What is it? Let's see if I can draw this nicely. You think it's E.
Like Euler's number E?
You thought the period was the coefficient in front of something. It is. It can be related to that. It is affected by that in this, but the period is going to be 2 pi for sine and cosine, and by extension, cosecant and secant. So, now, this is what the sine function looks like, roughly, yeah? And then the cosine, so this is sine of x. Now let's see if I can do this well. Cosine of x, sorry, no, cosecant would look like this. That is what the graph of cosecant looks like. If you're confused as to why, plug in some values, figure it out. You can also graph it on your calculator. The pink is cosecant of x. You're getting pre-calc flashbacks. That's very good. That's very good. Now, 4 times x is in. Before we do cosecant of it, we have to multiply x by 4. So let's think about what that means. If we wanted to get this value here, which is going to be when this is at pi over 2. Okay? So that's when x is pi over 2. This is our x, this is our y. So when x is pi over 2, we get the value of, this is 1. We get the value of 1 for cosecant. But now, we're taking 4 times cosecant up there, right? So you are basically jumping forward. You're pushing your x value forward inside that function. So you're taking cosecant of something 4 times bigger than your x, which means that you're going to be smushing down, because every x you go up, you only need to move up again with your x value a little bit to get 4 times as far, which means that you're going to very quickly move through the cosecant function. Just like with sine, you're going to very quickly move through the sine function, or the sine wave, if you multiply x by a lot before you take the sine or the cosecant of it. So that is how I remember it, is you're moving very quickly through the x values, or your x is getting bigger, where you're taking the sine of, your angle essentially, without the value of x needing to change so much, so your y value will go faster. That's my conceptual understanding of it. Also, you can just take pi over 2 pi, that is the period, and you multiply it by the coefficient of x inside cosecant, or inside sine, or inside tangent. It's all the same. Yes, you can also use the unit circle. That works too. All right, so does this make sense? Do you have any follow-up questions on this jerk lump? What was my favorite class in high school? I really enjoyed criminal and constitutional law, but that's because I was a senior and it was the first time I got to not take a history class. I was very bad at history because I could not remember dates at all. I got a 2, I think it was a 2.
You got a 1.
I got a 1, according to Brady, on the U.S. History AP exam because I just didn't know dates. I couldn't remember when anything happened ever. I was very bad at it. So I liked criminal law and constitutional law because I got to just, it was debates and learning stuff, and I didn't care about dates so much. I'm in high school right now. So far, favorite subject is chemistry. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, it seems like this is fine. Say physics. Great. Let's move on to another Discord question. Where's this stupid mouse? All right. Ooh, this is fun. Rockin' Taze Archery. Dang, what a name. What's in a name? Oh, yes. That's fun. Okay. That's kind of long. Let's check this guy out. This seems manageabler. Okay, so we got this pentagon. Let's see what's going on here. So pentagon PQRST, so this one up here, and its reflection, this guy down here, are shown in the coordinate plane below. Yeah, sure. What is the line of reflection between the pentagons? Okay, so basically, the way you do this is you take, you can hopefully eyeball this, that the line is going to be y equals 0. It's just the x-axis, essentially. It looks like you're reflecting over the x-axis. You are. Another way to do this is anytime you are on the coordinate plane and you have this guy here and let's say this guy up here, something like that, and you want to find the line, you take, let's say this is A and this is A prime, and you want to find the line of reflection. Find the midpoint of those 2 points. That will be a point on your line. And then you can take the slope of whatever, the opposite reciprocal of the slope of this line. In this case, it would just be, it looks like a horizontal line at y equals whatever that is. But let's say you have this guy here, this A prime. You know what? Let's just erase these. You can always, basically you're trying to find the equation of the line that cuts, that could be reflected over, right? So my teacher was really bad for chem. It makes sense. Yes, learning chem. Chem is a weird thing, so if you don't have a good teacher, it can be really tough. So let's say we have something like this triangle here, and then we have this triangle here. Okay, so let's just assume they're exactly the same size. It looks like the line would be somewhere here, right, in between them. But what you can do is you can take this guy, you can take this guy. That's A prime. If you find the midpoint right here of them, that's a point on the line that is going to cut them, right? And then if you find the slope of this dotted line, which looks to be -1/8 or something, you take the opposite reciprocal of that. That gives you the slope of this line, plus you already have a point. You can use point slope form, and you can find that line of reflection. But it will not ask you to find, that is very unusual. This one is probably as hard as it would get for asking that type of thing, because it's just the x-axis, or y equals 0. Makes sense? Hopefully. Let's do another Jerklund question. So the midpoint is -2. Let me check on that. The midpoint of what is -2 and -6? On here or on this given question? This could be on either the ACT or the SAT. S and S and R. Well, the midpoint of each of those would be -2, 0 or -6, 0, right? And then you're trying to find the slope of the line. Oh, that's actually a really another good idea. If you can find 2 midpoints, then you can find the equation of the line between those 2 points. So you have the point there. You have the point -2, 0, and you have the point -6, 0. Given 2 points, you can find the equation of the line that passes through them both, right? So finding the slope of this, it would be a slope of 0. Change in y over change in x, it's 0 divided by whatever that is. It's still 0. And so now you have the slope. The y-intercept would clearly be 0, so you have y equals 0. X. 0x plus 0, which is 0. Yes, there you go. Y equals 0. So if there are 2 points you can use to find two different or 4 points you can use to find two different midpoints, great, you have your 2 points, find the slope or find the line equation. All right. Let's do a jerk lump question. Matrix, that is right, jerk lump. That is so right. Right you are. Yeah, so the ACT was nice here. They did give you the formula for the determinant. Now, it helps a lot if you know what the determinant is, just so you're more comfortable as you go through this question. You don't absolutely have to. They tell you that the determinant of a matrix, ABCD, equals AD minus BC. What they're doing here is they're telling you exactly which pieces of the matrix you're going to multiply together and then subtract. So I will get to that in a sec once I have erased. I always pronounce that peep in my head.
That's what?
Pepe?
Oh, peep. Don't you always pronounce that peep in your head?
I do. How did you know?
Well, when you see that word, you think, oh, peep in my head. But it's just Pepe.
Got it. Got it.
I don't know why you think that.
Okay. So, we have this matrix K, 4, 3, K. What is the determinant of that matrix? Well, the determinant, it's pretty bad. The determinant of this matrix is going to be this times this minus this times this. So that will equal K times K minus 4 times 3. Yeah? So that will be equal to K squared minus 12. They say, so what are we trying to do here? For what positive real value of K, so K is positive and real, is the determinant of the matrix, the determinant of this matrix, which we just found, equal to K? What is the determinant used for? Bird, what is the determinant for again?
Okay, so in linear algebra, it tells you how much larger an area gets after performing a linear transformation.
In linear
hilarious.
algebra, it helps you do something with areas.
Here we go, ready?
Yes.
Symmetrically, it can be viewed as the volume scaling factor of the linear transformation described by the matrix, which in terms of a 2x2 is an area scalar. Which is hilarious that they ask high schoolers to know that when they have no idea what it's used for.
Yes, I agree.
It's thoroughly ridiculous.
So you have this thing, and they say that it's equal to K. Okay, so this is where knowing what the determinant is beforehand makes your life a little bit easier, because you already know what this is. Great, and then they're just saying at the end, when is the determinant equal to K? If you're not comfortable, then you might get lost here. But they're saying, when is this thing here equal to K? So that becomes our equation. We got a nice equal sign. We have only one variable. We can solve. So I'm going to pull this K over to that side by subtracting K on both sides. So I get K squared minus, I'm going to put the K in the middle, because I know I'm going to factor. The reason I know I'm going to factor is because I want to combine all my terms of the variable that I am trying to isolate, but if I can't, like this, K squared and K, then I'm going to have to factor. So this factors pretty nicely. We get K minus 4 times K plus 3, and that equals 0. Then you use the zero product property, and you get that K can equal 4, K can equal negative 3. Negative 3 is not an answer. They also tell us that K is positive, so this has to be wrong. So the answer is K equals 4. B. Any questions on this question, jerk lump, or anybody else? Why set to k? So it's just a little bit hidden in the question, but that's what they say. For what real? Okay, so what value of k, if any, is the determinant of the matrix, which is all this stuff, equal to k? They just ask it in the question if you read closely. So then I found the determinant. They say it's equal to k. Okay, so for what value of k is that true? Let's find out. That's it. Yeah. So no weird math that you didn't understand. It's just what they said. Any other questions on that, Jerk Lump? Or anybody else? Bird, do you have a child at 9? You do? Okay.
Yeah. Do you?
What's my favorite Broadway musical? I'm going to say Lion King. I love The Lion King. I've seen it twice. Yeah, baby. And if I get my way, I will see it a third time very soon. Okay, so no more questions. Good. Or no more questions on this question. So let's do a Rocket Tase Archery. Archery. Hey, Rocket Tase, are you learning transformations and translations? Ooh. Chicago. Nice.
That's where I'm from.
You're from the musical Chicago?
Yep. And all that jazz.
All right, Bird, you ready to do a question?
I'm ready to do a number from Chicago. Come on, babe, why don't we hit the town?
Bum, bum. I'm behind that block of text. Oh. Here in the moment. What are you going to do? I'm going to rouge my knees and pull my stockings down.
All night.
It might be the situation where they don't know the musical as well as I do. They just like it. And so I kind of go too far into it.
I can't read this at all.
There is a data that I went on.
What data you went?
There was a date that I went on.
When?
A while ago. Where...
Was this with that girl you dated?
That one time, yeah. So she dropped a SpongeBob quote, and I got very excited. Because I'm like, oh, you have no idea who you're talking to. So I started dropping a lot of SpongeBob quotes, and I think that might have been it. I think that's probably why it did not turn to a second date. But you know what? She made her bed, you know? She's going to lie in it. She invited me to engage in SpongeBob quotes, and, you know, the fact that I did is pretty much her fault.
You had it coming.
They had it coming. They only had themselves to blame. If you'd have been there, if you'd have hoid it, I bet you.
If you'd have heard it.
Pop, six, squish.
The other two
Cicero
we can do when I got an answer.
Great musical. Great musical. What about Razzle Dazzle? No. All I care about is love. All I care about. That's a good song. They both reach for the gun. Also a good song. It's a fantastic musical. I want to do this. Did you just do this? I'm going to rush my knees and pull my stockings down. And all that jazz.
Could you please do the two I answered already?
Yeah.
So you don't want to do this one? We can do something else.
Is cold, but the piano's hot.
It's just the two you answered already. Okay, so these two. Bird, do you think you can handle this?
Oh, is my name Brady or is it Bird?
Go.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both reach for the gun, the gun, the gun, the gun. Oh yes, they both reach for the gun, Ho! Oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both.
Okay, Bird, do you think you can tell us which of the following statements is true?
Isn't this little green line that like is a border is very interesting? Okay, triangle ABC has been translated to create triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Which of the following statements is true? If it's just a translation, it's only been moved. There's been no rotations. There's been no dilations. There's been no reflections. It's simple. It's a copy and it's a paste somewhere else, vertical and horizontal. And there's been... So, anyway, what this means is that these two triangles are congruent. They are exactly the same triangle, just at different places in space. So, which of the following statements is true? Measure of angle B prime is 63. 63 is the measure of angle A, which means it's going to be the measure of angle A prime as well, because they're the same angle. It's a congruent pair of triangles. So it's not going to suddenly become the angle measure of B or C. It's only going to stick with its pal, measure of angle A, which is now going to be the measure of angle A prime. So you got this one right, chemist. It's going to be the same exact triangle with the same exact angles, same exact side lengths. Just somewhere else. Chemist, you like that? Is that good? Hope it's good. Hope it's good.
Anakin, you're on my
Okay,
own.
thanks. One more already answered, and then that's it for tonight. All right, let's see what this other one is. All right, what do we got here? What do we think this is? Are we proud of this? All right. Trapezoid JKLM is shown on the coordinate plane below. If trapezoid JKLM is translated according to the rule, x comma y turns to, or is mapped to x plus 5, y minus 4, what are the coordinates of point L? Well, let's currently find the coordinates of point L. And then, hey, I'm Taco. We're going to get to that in just a second. L is currently at 3, comma, negative 2. So the rule for this transformation is it maps it to x plus 5, comma, y minus 4, which means it's going to add 5 to the x value, which is going to turn this into 8, and it's going to subtract 4 from the y value, which is going to turn it from negative 2 into negative 6. So 8, negative 6 is going to be what that is. Hey, I'm Taco. What is the value of 3x over 4 given that 1 over x plus 1 over 3x is equal to 5? That's a fun question. That's a fun question. That's a fun question. Camus, that makes sense? I believe that's what you put. Yeah, that's what you put. 8, negative 6. Everyone's at their own pace. Everyone's working on the stuff that they're working on. Doesn't make anything easy or hard. It's just what you're currently working on, so it's fine. All right, so hey, I'm Taco. You're asking what's the value of 3x over 4 if 1 over x plus, I want to make sure I have this right, is it 1 over 3x on the bottom like this is equal to 5? Or is it 1/3 times x? Hey, I'm Taco. Let me know, because I'm afraid to continue until I have this right. If I have this wrong to start with and I solve it, then it's going to be completely wrong in the end. I don't want to do that to you. Yes, that's right. Very good. All right. All right, well, you got a couple different ways of going about doing this. You could solve for x, and then whenever you have x, you just multiply by 3/4, and that's what 3/4 x is going to be. Or you can just try to perform some operations and see if this suddenly turns into what you want to solve for anyway. So you've got two different fractions, and they're currently over different denominators. So you have to, in order to be able to add them, put them over the same denominator. The least common denominator, the least common multiple you could have is if you just turn this x into 3x, then they're going to match already. That's all you have to do. I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 3. So what this is going to give us is 3 over 3x plus 1 over 3x is equal to 5. So now I can add them. So I'm going to have 3 plus 1 on top. So we have 4 over 3x is equal to 5. Now this is interesting because 4 over 3x is the reciprocal of 3x over 4. It's just everything flipped upside down. So if we want to find out what this is, we have to somehow flip this upside down, okay? They don't really go over this that much in school as far as the manipulation I'm about to show you. But one thing you can do is if you have a fraction, like 1 over x is equal to 2 over 3, and you want to get this fraction upside down so that x is on top, you can just take the reciprocal of both sides at the same time. That's something you're very much allowed to do. So this will become x over 1, and this is going to become 3 over 2. And suddenly you know what x is. X is 3 over 2, okay? If you want to flip one side, you can flip the other. You have to flip both at the same time, but that's one thing you want to do. So this is not a fraction on the right side, but we can make it a fraction very easily by just putting it over 1. So this is 5 over 1. So if we flip this, we're going to get what we want to solve for in the first place. So we flip it, and we get 3x over 4 is equal to the flipped side on the right, which is going to be 1/5. So we actually don't even need to solve for x by itself. All they're looking for is that quantity, and once we've solved for that quantity, right here, we have our answer. Can we go back now and find what x is? Of course. We don't need to, though. It's how hungry you are to solve for x. Some people are hungrier than others. Some people are born hungry. Some people achieve hunger. Some people have hunger thrust upon them. But in this case, no need for that extra hunger. I dropped my rag. Levi.
Yes, Bert.
You and I have not had I can't even speak. You and I have not had a couple of good days, have we?
No.
No.
Quite a bad couple of days.
Quite a bad couple of days. Hey, I'm Taco. Hey, thank you. Just keep being Taco. If I look up and you're suddenly Burrito, I'm gonna be pissed. Why have you not had good days? Long stories. You guys aren't really interested. You're just saying that to be polite. You just like us in teaching contexts. You don't want to actually know we're like as people. That doesn't
No.
interest you at all. I relate too, though. Ah, jeez. How do I know if it's reflected through y or x? Good question. That's a good question. Bum, 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 bum. Today.
I think Chemist is asking rhetorical questions, so you probably don't need to answer.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You know it's in your heart. Okay, Roby, think about... Okay, that's Roby. Chemist, if you're reflected over the y-axis, just draw yourself a point. Say this is a point here. If you're reflected across the y-axis, that means you're going to be over here now. Think about what changed, your y-coordinate or your x-coordinate? Your x-coordinate changed. Your x-coordinate became the opposite of what it was before. Okay? So, if you're reflected across the x-axis, that means that you're reflected downward. That's not me, that's you. Yes. Yes, I'm painfully aware that it's you.
I don't think so.
Okay, if you're reflected across the x-axis, it's your y values
I don't
that
smell
switch.
anything.
You are just too much.
I don't smell anything.
Yes you do.
No, I don't.
Well, that's because you're immune to it.
No, that's not true. They don't smell
So
anything.
it's the x-axis for the question I'm doing right now. Ah. So it is the x-axis. Yeah, it's the opposite of what you think, basically. If you're flipped across the x-axis, it's your y values that change. If you're flipped across the y-axis, it's your x values that change. Oh, I smelled it before I got out of here.
I don't think anything happened. I'm being so serious. Tell us about your bad days. My bad day was
One sec.
just when people don't see eye to eye and it's nobody's fault, but like it just kind of stinks.
Is it Rock and Taze? That's okay. All right.
That's when it kind of is no fun.
Well, that's what you have your business partner for.
Yeah, that's
Me.
why I have you, my business partner.
Bird.
It's all about business.
Love business. You know that meme that's like a guy going, "Ha ha, business."
No.
There definitely is that meme. All right, there's our original. Something smells.
What is it?
I don't know, but it doesn't smell good.
Does it smell like? Is it you?
No, it's not me.
You're having a stroke?
No, get out of here. Which two transformations are applied to pentagon? I like saying it pentagon. ABCD to produce that. Okay, which two transformations? It's both, or the origin. It's two transformations. Well, here's something to think about. A is always on top. And C is always on the bottom. So if it was reflected over the x-axis, A would suddenly be on the bottom, but it's not. Is it just translations? Let's see, if we just take this and pull it up and move it over to the right, so we go up and to the right, would that be sufficient for what happened here? The answer is no. No, it would not, because B is on the left side here and B is on the right side over there. So it wasn't just translating that got it to where it ended up at. It looks like there was also a left and right flip, because B started out on the left, now it's on the right. E was on the right, now it's on the left, and all sorts of fun stuff like that. Pepe notation? So what this looks like it's going to have to be, somehow it's going to have to be reflected across the y-axis. That's going to have to happen because all the x values switch, and they also switch sides based off of each other. That's what I choose. What does this man always say? Don't know. All the answers always say translated. They all say translated, huh? Well, there has to be some kind of reflection. Because if it was just a translation, it would have the same configuration up in the first quadrant, and it doesn't. Translations don't perform reflections or rotations. And reflected across the x-axis. Oh wait, so there is a reflection. Well, okay, these are the rules. Okay, and reflected across the y-axis, reflected across the x-axis. Got it. Okay. Well, if the thing is flipped like this, B's over here, E's over here, but then our final answer, they've been switched, it must be a reflection across the y-axis. That has to happen. So it's either going to be the first one or the third one. So the other question is, do we move to the right by 2 spaces or 8 spaces? Do we move up by 2 spaces or 8 spaces? All right. Now this is the hard part. Okay. The movement happens first, and then they reflect. So let's just follow. I know it is the third one then. So let's follow the third one. So let's follow A, for example, and just see what happens to A. A is currently at -5, -2. So according to 3, you first add 2 to the x and 8 to the y. So this becomes -3, 6. And then you would flip this across the y-axis, which means this is going to become +3, 6. And let's see, is that where our A value ends? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That is where our A value ends at A prime. So that would work. Would that work for the other ones as well? Let's see. B is -7, -3. B is -7, -3. So you are adding 2 to the x, which gives you -5, and 8 to the y, which gives you +5. And then you're flipping it across the y-axis, which means the x value is going to switch, giving you 5, 5. Is that where B prime is? Yes, it is. That looks good, Kevist. That looks real good. That goes down real smooth. Everyone drink water. We all should. I agree. I need to drink water.
I gotta maybe take a phone call.
Have a child.
Yes. Okay. So well, if you want to head out in 3 minutes, or
Yeah, I can do that.
you want to hold on the fort for another 3 minutes, or you want to just head out now?
I'll do it one more minute.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Have a good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Levi's got a call to make because he's very important. Not like me. No one ever calls me because I'm not as important as Levi. Now that Levi's gone, I'm going to do my Levi impression. Oh, hello. I'm important. I have a call to take. What's his name? Jeeves? Pull up the phone. I must make a call. That's Levi. He says that stuff all the time. All right, yeah, I guess if he's gone, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here because I don't really know how to identify myself if Levi's not around. Oh, Levi's back. Levi, what are you doing?
Worry not.
You have a
Yeah, we
phone
should go.
call.
No. No longer.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, you can hold it for it then.
Yes. No. We should go. We should go.
All right.
Hold down the fort.
Tomorrow's gonna be a good day.
It's gonna be a very good day.
Very good day.
It's so good.
Or else we're gonna give that day a beat down if it's not
if
good.
If you're not seeing eye to eye
With that day,
then you need to adjust.
be
your
given
perspective.
as a day, you're gonna get a beat down by the two of us.
Personify that day in some other way.
That's what I'm gonna do to the day.
Smack it in the arm fat. Why don't you?
Yeah, I'll smack you in the arm, Fat.
Yeah?
We're gonna stop streaming. Sorry.